So today our speaker is Remmy Baker and colleagues from MacEwan University and the Edmonton Queer History Project. And let me say about the EQHP, this is a collaborative community effort designed to share stories and demonstrate the history of queer life here in Edmonton. So we're very grateful to Remmy and colleagues who are Morgan, Elizabeth. That's it. Morgan and Elizabeth. So Remmy, over to you, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. No, okay. So hi, I'm Remmy. I use they, them pronouns. I am a researcher with the Edmonton Queer History Project. The day we're here, we just want to kind of fill you in on what we've been up to, what's happening next, and then we want to try to show you how to use one of our newer features on our website called EQHP Stories, which is our newest attempt to get the community to help us in telling your stories and making sure they get recorded. Okay, so what is the Edmonton Queer History Project? Larry kind of said it all for us in the introduction there. We tell the queer stories of Edmonton throughout our history. As we know, so much of these histories are undocumented. I know a few weeks ago you had a presentation from the archives and Rob at, I believe at the museum. So it's definitely, you should be familiar with it, but we're hoping to let you know what we're doing.
And so just a few of the things that we've done as an organization. On our main website, we have the downtown map with 27 different locations of historical importance. Obviously, there's far more than 27 in that one location, but those were ones that were researched at the time we were producing that, and kind of ones that were considered to be quite historically important. And each one has a write-up you can read about. We also do walking tours downtown through different locations on those maps, as well as other ones that we've been finding since. And those typically take place in the spring and the summer. And we often bring in guests to help present those. Michael does a lot of them. Rob does a fair few of them, and we also do bring in other guests from. And they're all differently. This year we started theming them. So we had enough information that we had separate ones for different bars and nightclubs, bathhouses. We had a politically themed one on activism, and then also one on lesbian history. So hoping to be able to do more of those. And we also have our From Here to Queer podcast, and now the Stories map, as well as a digital archive of different magazines that we've been, and newsletters that we've been able to get rights to post online, like Times 10 and such. So.
Okay, so we have a lot of projects coming up. We're working on a White Avenue Old Strathcona map. It's quite exciting being able to unearth some of the history, as well as imagining how to navigate White Avenue during the summer when everyone's on White Avenue, which could be quite difficult because some of our walking tours can get up to 60 people. So it's figuring out those logistics of how to keep size down so we're not blocking all of traffic. Yes, we have some of the locations like Orlando Books, the Princess Theatre, Rebar, the Gazebo Park, and with other locations to be told on the tour. So if you're around when we have the tour ready, feel free to join us.
Okay, excuse me.
We're also working, yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
This is Frank Teston on Zoom. And are you still on slide 1?
No,
No, we're on slide 4. Are the slides not advancing for you?
That's correct.
No.
And also the sound is weak.
Bummer. I don't know what to do about that. Just bear with me for a second.
That's right.
The sound is good here. It's not weak at all from my location. It could be your Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So when we do duplicate displays, it should be showing.
It should be, yeah. If you're broadcasting your display.
What will the other people
So our-
online?
Can anybody else see slide 4 or
Yes,
Joan, you seeing one that says what's next?
yes,
Oh, okay.
and the audio is a little bit muddy for, I think maybe for next time if you can. I think the table the table of narrators might need a mic a little closer. I think that would make a difference. I mean, I can hear it, but it is a little bit choppy.
So it might be that person's individual internet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry for the interruption, but
Yeah, no worries.
Mohammed came to the mountain instead of the mountain going to Muhammad. So, yes, now, shall we continue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we also have a For Edmonton exhibition in the works.
Okay.
We're taking over Reed's gift shop. So as you're in For Edmonton, hopefully, if things work out as we want, you'll get drawn into our exhibition. And we're focusing on some of the more political history, such as morality legislation, as well as the Reed case, which gave us human rights. And we also have videos, like we have short films on Instagram and TikTok, just with like historic tidbits.
I have a whole slide for it.
Okay, I won't spoil too much. They're really good. I enjoy watching them. And we also have some feature films getting released next year. One of them is on the Reed case, and the other is on the Flashback Club. Yeah.
Right, go for it.
Oops, I
Those
skipped
two.
one there.
Yep.
There we are.
So very recently, we've been lucky to team up with Adverb Communications, which is just a small local communications firm here in Edmonton, and they've donated some time with us to help us improve our social media presence. So one of the main things we've been doing is making short videos. So we have, I think, 4 or 5 up now. They're 1-minute, 2-minute long, just short bits of history. And one of the things that we want to do is engage with the community in our videos. So we're hoping that some of you, either in person or online, may want to help us out a little bit, maybe be in some of these videos. The idea we have right now is just that we'll ask you a few very simple questions and then have a video of each answer for the question. So if you go to the next slide, those are just the questions we have right now, asking what your favorite bar was, and then we'd have a video with all of the different answers to that question and shared on our social media. So yeah, if anyone today in person is interested, you can let me know and we can go off and film really quickly. It should take a few minutes. If not, feel free to reach out to us on email and I can arrange a sort of Zoom interview for it as well. And we have a new taker.
Everybody shut.
Yeah,
This is your thing.
it is my thing. So EQHB Stories, as we said in the beginning, it's our sort of newest feature on our website. We really want to, we know that so much of the history for our places is in people and in the stories we tell to each other. So the write-ups we have on our website obviously don't have a whole story. They're very like fact-based and a little not always exciting at times. So the map is our ask to the community to help us fill in some information. Yeah, so next slide. The things that we want from the community is to hear your stories, your experiences in Edmonton being queer. So stories such as your favorite bar, or maybe a funny story from one of these bars, a place you had a first date, or where you realized you were queer, or just your favorite local queer business sort of thing. So the website we know is a little tricky to use, so we kind of broke it down for you in this PowerPoint very step by step, so that hopefully it's easier for you to go in and add your stories so that we have them. Yeah, so this slide's just an overview. We're going to go into all of these steps in more detail, because that sounds scary.
Okay, next.
So the first step is to go to our website. You can either go to https://eqhbstories.ca, or if you go to our main website, you can see at the very top there on the header, there's an EQHB Stories button. If you click that, it'll take you also to the website. So this right here is an example of what you'll see when you click on it. I think there's a few more dots on it by now, but how it's set up is that each of these dots is a story, and you can hit the next one and it kind of breaks it down a little more.
That go in?
No, that was good.
Okay, well,
So you can, one more.
okay.
So just some easy, in case you forget, we're going to give you this PowerPoint too, so you can look back at it later. If you click on any of the dots, you'll be able to read it. There's a little bar on the side, the plus or minus, for you to zoom in, you can scroll. And then on the very top left, you'll see a little like 3 lines button, and clicking on that is going to show a list of filters, which I think it shows in the next. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a few different categories. Since we've also done a bunch of research and put some locations on here, kind of just to get things filled up and kind of hopefully inspire some memories while people are browsing. We do have the option to filter by ones that either we have posted as an organization or that community members have added. And then we also have a number of themed categories: activism, arts and culture, business, community organizations, cruising areas, inclusive faith, nightlife and entertainment, pride celebrations, and sports and recreation. And those colored boxes for each match the colors of the dots. So you can also kind of gauge the theme of that area visually. But yeah, you can select those filters to only show certain themes if you want. And I think the next slide.
Yeah, so that's just another, still more on the filters. You can have as many on or off if you want. So if you want to see nightlife and sports at the same time, you can turn those on, and you can play around with it. For the stories that we have, our stories are a lot more kind of factual based. So hopefully we jog your memory that this business was here, and now what we want is for you to go in and say what you remember about that business. Like, I remember I met this person here, sort of thing. Tell us what it was like. What was an average Friday night at the bar, or stuff like that.
But also if there's places that we don't know about
Yes.
that aren't on there yet, we do also encourage people to add those, because yeah, we're always following breadcrumb trails.
All right, now here's how to add your story to the map.
So,
Okay, so because we want to make sure everyone is posting in good faith, you do have to register. However, you can post anonymously. This is to help us moderate it so we don't have hate speech on the website. So yeah, click register. It's in the top corner, the big arrow. Well, it won't have the big arrow pointing to it, but you'll have the presentation you can refer to. So next slide. So this box appears and you would fill it out. It doesn't have to be your real name. If you could just say, I don't know, Oilers fan 99, and you're good to go. But you will need your email and a password, just so that we can confirm you're a real human being and not a bot, yeah. Yeah, so you can have your username and post anonymously, but we do keep your information safe, such as your email, so you don't have to worry about anyone infringing on your privacy. Next slide. After you're logged in, you can click on the add story. And then you can kind of choose somewhere on the map. Is that the next slide?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, next slide. Yeah. So you add your story, you enter the address or the location.
Also, so
Oh, yeah.
before you get to that, you're jumping.
I'm jumping.
So once you hit add story, it'll kind of turn on so that you can click on a part of the map. So if you know where the bar is, for example, you could scroll over to the roost and click on it. And that's when this box is going to appear. We do have a slide for each like section of the box as well. So yeah, once you have the box open, you can start to fill it out.
There we are.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I,
I'll go.
okay.
We may not have rehearsed this, admittedly.
That's just.
I didn't even know I was gonna be presenting.
Oh, I thought I told you.
No, you didn't.
Okay, so the first thing is on the very top, it'll say address or common location name. So you can write in the roost, you could write in an address. If it's a not commonly known location, you could write both, or you could write the name of your story. So if you want to write first date, you can put that in the box and go from there. Once that is done, you use the share your story box to write what you want to say. There's unlimited characters, so you can write a whole novel for us if you really want. We don't unfortunately have it set up for pictures. Maybe one day in the future we'll add pictures, but not quite. So yeah, you can type your story as little or as much as you want to say. Next, you can just click the box of your category. It's okay if you forget. We have a lot. It automatically types things as sports and recreation. So there's a few in there that aren't categorized, right? But if you remember, you can kind of select, and if none quite fit, you can just kind of use your best judgment for it. I know we have a few on there that talk about a first kiss, and that one was under pride, for example. So you can use your own judgment as well. Then the two dots at the bottom, you can click if you want to add your username. So if you are Oilers fan 99, you can have it say story by Oilers fan, or you can leave it anonymous, and that's fine as well. And the last box there, this one is an optional box. It's for a URL. So if you have a website connected to your story that you want to link, so if we were to go on and make a post for this group, we could add the link to your website and people could click on it and go. If you don't have a link, you can totally ignore that box and fun.
There we are.
Awesome. And then, so now you're pretty much done. You can hit add my story and it will go into the moderation. Most of the time, it'll probably be me who goes and looks at it. I check it every day or so. And once I read it, I know it's nothing bad. I'll hit yeah, and it'll go on the site within a few days. Then after that, you can keep going. You can add as many stories as you want on our website. Then if you are stuck or get confused on a step, you can reach out to us by email, edmontonqueerhistory@gmail.com. We can help you troubleshoot, or if you're really frustrated with the website and you know what you want to say and where you want to say it, you can write that in the email and I can go on and post it anonymously for you in case you can't figure out the website, because we know it's a little tricky at times.
Oops.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's the kind of end of our presentation. We wanted to keep it nice and short in case people either at home wanted to try it out and if you had any questions. And yeah, or if you just want to ask questions about our project, what we're up to, or be in a social media video.
If you're online, could you use the electronic raise your hand so that we can recognize you, like Jan just did? And if you're in the audience, if you could also please raise your hand so we can pick you out properly, okay? So.
Do you want to not screen share so we can see the audience?
Sorry, yeah. It's just 1 second. Let's go, Jan.
Well, that looks like a really great project you guys have created here. My question is, can you post a photo
Not at the moment, unfortunately.
If you do have photos that you do want to share, you can send those to us at email. We won't be able to put them on the website, but we could make sure we have it somewhere in our files as well, if that's something you're wanting us to have, for sure.
There was a woman's space dance in Bonnie Doon Hall that I was a member of a 3-piece band. We played live music for it, and I think I have a business card. I think I have a photo of the band. I think that'd be fun on there.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yes, sure.
So who is the target audience for this besides the queer community? Like, are you advertising outside of this for people? And what's the whole focus?
Sorry.
There you go.
We're trying to reach out to the broader community. You know, obviously there are certain barriers to actually kind of, I guess, getting participation and interest. So a lot of it does kind of, a lot of that knowledge does kind of tend to then just circle within the queer community. But we have been going out to other community events, and doing boothing and stuff, especially during the summer at festivals and things like that, or at certain museums, invited us out to be a part of a day. And, you know, we are trying to reach out to the broader community, but obviously there is a certain amount of resistance to that.
We'll go to Joan online first and then back to in person. Joan, go ahead, please.
Hi, thanks. This sounds awesome. I'd like to submit some stories for sure. And I'm wondering if you have a PDF file that has photos in there, like as part of the file, would that still work for the submissions?
Not for the stories one specifically, but if you did want to email it to us, then I'm sure we can talk about it using photos.
Got it. So if the story itself is in a PDF file and there are photos in there, that wouldn't work.
No, because you have to just copy plain text. That's all that the website
I
accepts.
see.
Is just
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
you can't like
Okay.
upload a file, but unfortunately.
For sure. No problem. Thanks.
Thank you. And before I go to you, Larry, just a suggestion. If anybody does have photos, make sure you keep them. You could archive them because we heard about archiving, but you could also just save them until the point where the website is ready to accept photos. Okay, that's just my suggestion. Larry, go ahead.
A wonderful project, and actually, well, thank you. I wonder whether you had considered approaching friends and allies, perhaps a group like P-Flag and so on, that might be a way of reaching the broader community to talk about when they discover a friend was gay or whatever story they might share.
Yeah, for sure. I know some of the things that we're hoping our Fort Edmonton exhibit is kind of one of these ways that we can help kind of start reaching. We are a relatively small team. We're probably half of it sitting right here. And none of us are full-time either. Yeah, hopefully down the road. I know we do have, I actually found the other day, we have a ton of P-Flag Edmonton newsletters in our office that we're hoping to digitize eventually for you.
Yeah, and we are always trying to do collaborations with different community partners. Sometimes, again, it's a matter of staffing and resources, and we've got like a checklist of people we want to work with, and it's just making our way down. But yeah, it would definitely be a good idea to reach out to them. So thank you for that suggestion.
I have a question.
Sure.
How many stories are up there right now?
I think right now for the stories that we've put out, I think we're over 200 locations that we've identified. I've gone through a lot of the Times 10 magazines and just looked at listings for community groups and where there was ads and stuff like that. We don't really have very much in terms of community submissions. So this is why we're here. We're hoping that we can start to grow that. I think we have maybe 25 or 30. So.
The project did only, like the stories map only launched a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's a relatively new addition.
I'll go to Jan online first and then to you. Not Jan, Joan, sorry. Oh, Joe, go ahead, Joe.
Hi again. Did you say, I might have missed this in the earlier meeting here, but did you say you have access to the archives? Because there's a ton of stories. In the archives, like I'm referring to the ones that I submitted through the Women's Space newsletter. And I'm wondering, do you guys get access to those? Because I was gonna submit something like that, but if you've already got it, then it'd be kind of like a waste of time.
So with that, it all depends, because we do have access to the archives and whatever that they have processed and made publicly available, we can access. However, I know they still have a massive backlog of things that they need to accession because unfortunately, like with many historical institutions and arts and culture institutions, they're chronically understaffed and not well funded. So it's only been recently that they've actually been able to hire an archivist to focus on a few specific collections, and the gay and lesbian archives, as it's referred to, that general section, is one of those that's being focused on. And like just recently, there was a bunch of stuff coming in from Women's Space that they were able to get around to, and we actually have, I think, all of the old newsletters digitized on our website. So if anybody wants to go and read those, they are available freely on our website in PDF format.
I'll also add to that, it definitely would never be a waste of time. I know, I think we have Bonnie Doon on the map, but all it says is like, there was a Women's Space dance here. And that's really it, because that's all I know. I saw an ad for it, and that's what I have. We don't really know what happened there. What was the dance for? When was it? Stuff like that, that we really want to add that personal level to it, for sure.
Right,
Joan, yeah.
so you're saying you already have all the Women's Space newsletters digitized through your website? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so we have a partnership with the U of A library who they do the digitization for us, but they host this archive of all of the newsletters that we've got so far. But
Right.
Ron posted a link in the chat actually to the whole collection, which has a bunch of different magazines. But yeah, so if
Awesome.
anyone wants to go back through those,
So I hate to keep asking it, but you've already got it then, right? Like, so whoever wants to read those stories, it doesn't really, you don't really need somebody to post the same story kind of thing on your website. That's what I'm wondering.
Well, it kind of depends, because some of the stuff, the way that we're gonna write the story is based just on what we can read from these newsletters or what we've been able to research. And so that's going to tend to miss the human side of it. You know, it's gonna be facts, but you know, none of us were there, so
Yeah.
we don't have the experience, that emotion, and that's kind of what one of the things we're looking to get from community,
And
if possible.
there is also a chance we're wrong.
Yeah.
It's been pointed out to us a few times actually already that I did get something wrong, or, you know, something got lost between that ad to the website because I wasn't
For
alive.
sure.
Yeah, or sometimes things were misreported
Yeah.
in newsletters, the news, obviously.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
We'll go to the room now and then back to online with Jan afterwards. Go
So
ahead.
I'm curious about funding. Are you a nonprofit organization? So.
Yes, so
funding
we're mostly unfortunately, we're not the people who deal with the funding aspect. But we are run out of MacEwan University, so we're kind of just a project that's a component of the university. And so we're all technically employed by MacEwan. And so MacEwan is technically a nonprofit because it's a university, but funding gets a little tricky because it's all dealt through their, you know, higher ups and that whole process. And
We do also get funding from a bunch of different locations. Our walking tours, they were all sponsored by the Edmonton Downtown Business Association. So that's how we were able to run those. And other kind of queer organizations help from time to time, either with money or in kind usually.
Just in follow-up to that, I didn't read what, matter of time, what Remmy is, their work is made possible due to funding and support from the MacEwan Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity, the Canada Research Chairs Program, an academic program, the City of Edmonton, the Edmonton Heritage Council, the Edmonton Downtown Business Association, as you've heard, and the Scholarly Charitable Foundation.
Yeah,
Okay.
Doug is quite a big supporter of the project.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll go to Jan online. I feel like I'm John Short moderating an after game show, but anyway, Jan, please go ahead.
And you're doing a fine job of it, Eric. Maybe Joan, you can help me out with this, but my comment is similar to Joan's theme. There was an organization in the 80s, it was called ASWAC, Alberta Status Women's Action Committee. Is that right, Joan?
Yeah.
And they had lots and lots of material. Is that in your collection?
If there's anything at the archives, we haven't seen it yet, because that's not an organization that at least is ringing a bell to me.
I haven't heard of it. No,
So.
Okay, and then another couple of women who did a lot of contribution was Cheryl Ackerman and Pauline Belanger. Do you have some of their stuff?
Possibly, do you know what organizations they're involved in?
Well, I don't think they had names or societies, or they were just sort of an informal group of women that were active.
Cheryl was part of the Alberta Status of Women Action Committee. She wrote often in the newsletter.
Cheryl was?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are 2 points of research for us to go down, I guess, so.
It's your homework.
I'm gonna add my 2 cents again, and maybe you're gonna be drinking from a fire hose, but you know, if you think you've got something that might be in an archive, that they said that, you know, the archive is taking a while to bring everything together. And so if you have something that's already in an archive somewhere, but they haven't come across it, it might be 2 years until they have a chance to come across it. So send it in anyways. If they've already got it, if they already know about it, they can just discard. But I think it's great. I wouldn't want to hold off saying, gee, I wonder if I should send this or not.
Yeah.
I prefer to take the option, send it, they can discard it if they don't want it.
And
Sorry.
Yeah, and we also have a bit of a backlog of our own of archival materials that we're digitizing. And we've just barely scratched the surface on that, because people keep donating stuff to our director, Christopher Wells, and then so we just have a cap just full of newsletters and journals and meeting notes from different organizations, so.
Yeah, please send them. And that's definitely one you could totally put on our map for us too. Or if you have more information, shoot us an email.
Absolutely.
Okay, Joan, back to you.
I'm just struggling with the name of one of the gay bars, the first bar I ever went to, and I'm hoping you guys can help me out. I don't think it was called the Roost, but it was across the street from the Roost. It was,
Flashbacks.
yes, thank you.
Flashbacks.
I couldn't remember.
Just set of loft apartments now.
Good.
Any other questions from the audience? Right.
I went into a beautiful store on 124th, and it's a gay owned. It was the most beautiful experience I've ever had in my life, as well as my friend of 43 years, Janet, worked in Calgary. She was touring here with Ken and I, and we're in there, and I'm kind of going, something like that needs to be mentioned. Do I tell that story?
Yes, you certainly can. Yeah, we would love to hear that, because every now and then we find out about a different business that, was like a meeting place for a portion of the community. It wasn't like well known, but you had like a clique of friends who would always go there, and it was, queer owned or what have you, it was lesbian owned.
And I could be flamboyant
Yeah.
and walk around there and pick some of the articles and it was really neat. So anyhow, this, I will definitely send him that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
Oh, the other question is, I have to ask permission from that store owner?
No, this is, because it's, there's nothing going with like copyrights or
Okay.
permissions or anything that you need to worry about.
And it's your experience you're sharing, right?
Yeah.
If it is a place that we do wind up researching, like it's stories like that that put it on our radar, and then we can go and find more information too, so that we can keep that record of it and the importance it had to people. For sure.
Janet, go ahead.
I have a suggestion, and I know you have nothing but free time on your hands and so much of it. But I think there's a pretty good group of seniors that do have time, do have time to volunteer and do stuff. And is it possible to set up like a schedule of 1 hour of helping with the digitization? And it helps with intergenerational kind of communications and activities, and you might have a pretty good resource base of seniors that would be willing to do some grunt work for you. Just a thought.
An excellent thought. However, any seniors, first you should volunteer for working with Aging with Pride. And then if you've got extra time, then with and I know everybody's got all sorts of extra time. So, but no, seriously, that would be great. I think that there might be some volunteers or some seniors who've got those skills and who would love to participate somewhere. What we find, one of the biggest challenges for seniors is the risk of social isolation.
Yeah.
And what I've found in talking to various friends is the best way to start building connections is to volunteer. So there's a semi-plug for you, and a semi-plug for the Aging with Pride. Anybody else in the room have a comment?
Oh, on the topic of volunteering, at different points throughout the year, we are looking at doing organizing some intergenerational community dialogues with students. I mean, a lot of it's going to be open to the community, but it's going to be hosted at MacEwan University, specifically at the Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity, which is the student resource center there and social space. So we are going to be doing some of those, and that's also another great way to socialize and to share experiences with a very different generation.
Yeah, we've done a few of those in the past. Last year, I think we did one on World AIDS Day. More recently, we did more of a activism, I think, kind of discussion.
Was that the one with Darren?
Yeah.
Darren Michael?
And I know the CSGD, the MacEwan's Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity, they too have told us they would love to get more generations in. They have a common room, so you can always reach out to them by email if you want to hang out with any of them.
And
Or email us for sure.
That it was last year that we were at there. It was really good. Always for me, coffee and cookies afterwards is always the key, but after that thing that we had at Grant MacEwan last year, the conversations that were going on in the room were just fantastic. So invite us back.
For sure.
Yes, absolutely. We are talking with the people who run that center about getting a few more of those going.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the room or online? Nobody? Okay, well, I guess I could do my interpretive tap dance. Sorry. Yeah, no, we won't, we'll spare you that one this time. But it's been a very good session. I thank you so much. We're going to wind up, if nobody has anything else to add at this point, we'll wind up at this point, and everybody that's here invited to have coffee. Sorry, I got 2 room comments first. You go ahead first.
Do you ever do a bus tour for seniors, those who aren't able to do the walk?
We did at one point. I know Darren Hagen was doing a few of those. I'm not quite sure what the status on that is, because I would personally would like to see that as well, because it is certainly a more inclusive form of tour than the walking tours. They so theoretically they're
About an hour.
about an hour. If Michael's hosting, 2.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of walking is relatively minimal, but it's a lot of standing. And yeah, there is no place to sit for those, you know, that 1 to 2 hours. So that is an issue, and it's something I'm definitely bringing up with our director, because hopefully we can get a bus tour, at least one bus tour going. Because yeah,
And nothing else, it's worth it for the Michael and Darren show.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was blessed by having both Michael and Darren, and I think it was a 3-hour tour.
yeah. I was gonna say, if we get both of them going, it's just it's an overnighter at that point.
Eric was to thank everyone for their attendance and to let you know it will be a different, next week we're going, Bishop Trevich is going to talk about legacy, creating and the meaning of legacy.
So your life and legacy, and it's just a continuation of this. We all have a legacy from having existed on the earth, and I think it's really important that we share. So thank you so much for coming here today, sharing your information. And thank you everybody online for attending. Please do join us next week, either in person or live, and or in person or online, sorry. And that's about it. We'll say goodbye to everybody right now, and we'll start the coffee. Bye-bye.
Thank you.